What do you make of the fact that people are now asking, some people are asking from what we see now, that both of them be suspended while an investigation is carried out?
That's the usual pattern, particularly in the West. And it may be advisable if it's found out that their continued stay in office will impede investigations. But my gut feeling is that all the facts related to this matter from both sides have already been put forward. And so if you're going to suspend them, you also have to make sure those who are acting for them have the proper template, because what usually happens some of the time in government is that when there's a suspension, the person standing in uses that window to go on rampage. It's unsupervised, and usually when the substantive person comes, there's no conversation about that tenure or half tenure. So yeah, if you're going to suspend them, which may be advisable to gain mileage in terms of perception, be sure also that you're not just removing them from office without doing anything that will not recreate what made you suspend them. But suspension as an act in itself, it does not solve any problem, but it may be advisable.
Are you happy that the Senate is going to be looking into this matter as well?
Well, I don't really see why I should be happy that the Senate is doing its job. That's why it exists. They are representatives of Nigerians, and this is a matter that concerns all of us. And as for that, I also think the National Assembly generally should learn to do more work. 2 weeks recess after, 2 months. You see, with the pay, sorry I'm deviating on this one, with the pay of members of the National Assembly and the kind of recess they take and the things, I just hope events don't come to summarily sober them up as things worsen for the people. Yeah, it's good they're taking income. That's what they should do. Go through with it, not in order to run down the executive, not in order to diminish Kachikwu and the other man, but in order to advise Nigeria on the best governance template for the NNPC going forward in the 21st century. There are similar organizations out of Nigeria. How are they run? And then the Senate also should be quick about it.
Because some people will say that isn't this preempting whatever investigation the executive arm of government might be carrying out on the same matter?
Well, that's one arm of government called the executive, which is the one that's culpable in the circumstance because these are the agents of the executive. So quite frankly, you will describe what the executive is doing as an administrative investigation. The National Assembly is a substantive arm of government that has not just the right and duty, but the mandate, compulsorily so, to look into issues that affect Nigerians as individuals and Nigeria as a nation. So to get on this matter is in order, totally in order. Where it will be wrong, where it will not play out well for us is where, again, the executive and the legislature do not exercise the necessary liaison. Once there's conversation going on between the two, it becomes this thing, and that's what hasn't been happening. The president has a presidential liaison representative, the National Assembly. Mm-hmm. Those fellows should get their job done.
Some people will be saying that precisely where was the National Assembly? I mean, they have duties to oversight this. They should have been able to spot this kinds of irregularities, assuming they are, while it was happening, assuming they were carrying out their oversight functions as they ought to have.
Oversight functions, they are not as detailed as that. And I don't want to go into the aspect of it that's actually not oversight, which is to come and have a handshake and go. But the element to look at here is that where is Servicom? You see, we keep creating institutions without knowing what they're supposed to do. If Servicom was a functioning institution of state, all the government needed when Buhari came in would have come from Servicom office. Servicom has the duty to ensure Nigerians are being well served, that the money is being spent for the purpose, etc., etc. Go to all the Servicom websites in most ministries. So where is Servicom in all of this?
Servicom, I'm not seeing a role for Servicom here, because the accusations here are that, you approved contracts above, your personal limits and things like that.
Yes.
What is the role for Servicom in that?
Okay, Servicom is service compact with Nigerians, through which for an agency like that, there's a Servicom office, which will then look through. Should also have detected that as well. What I'm saying is I have a plethora of, you have a transparency monitoring unit, you have Servicom, you have several others, you have procurement unit. All of them are agents of state that nobody is holding responsible for failures like this. Why do they exist? The first transparency monitoring unit was set up by my boss, the Minister of Transport, when I was, let's say, to Ojo Madrekwe. That was even before the one from ICPC. Ojo was the first to set it up and then later met with ICPC chairman. The point I'm making being, even at the time he was setting it up, for me to review the terms of reference, I disagreed with him. I said, look, these are functions. Everything in the terms of reference already exists in procurement, in GPRS, and all of that. It is to strengthen the existing organizations, not increase their number. Today we have EFCC, ICPC, CID has not been disbanded, and several other agencies. What's the impact of that? So as you multiply institutions, some of them with overlapping functions, of course there will be activity, but the cohesion of the state will keep declining. And so you have that kind of situation. That's really part of it, that you have too many agencies moving the nation forward, if I must use the expression, each one with his own map, some heading straight into the forest, creating a new road, but there's an expressway they could all just agree on the traffic rules and move more smoothly. That's part of what has emerged here.
Interesting. Well, are you optimistic then about the status of the NNPC? I mean, some people have said, unbundle the NNPC. Some people say, disband the NNPC. I mean, I'm sure you've heard that from current governor of Kaduna State. He has very strong views on the status of the NNPC. Do you think that the NNPC is beyond repair?
Well, talking about the governor of Kaduna State, he's also always had a reputation for unbundling and disbanding. Remember, he was head of BPE and did a lot of selling. And today we sold off the estate for the members of the National Assembly, if you remember, under the monetization. Mm-hmm. And after every 4 years, we spend close to 6 billion on the instance dealing with what will not have happened. Because all that needed to happen is when you have new legislators, they probably budget 2 million, 3 for rehabilitation of each of the buildings and furniture, and they move. But instead of that, you spend between 6, 12 billion.
Some people say that wasn't his decision alone.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. I'm only saying, now I'm being deliberately mischievous. I'm saying it's presided over a lot of unbundling and selling and disbanding. So that's enough for one thing. But NNPC, let's also see how it's run in other countries. I mean, not NNPC, similar organizations. He has a point that it will always create problems at the level of corruption, institutional capacity, and fulfilling the role it's supposed to, because it's under government, whether it's supposed to be some kind of a business related with other businesses. So it may be good to think of making it the sort of thing you have in other places that are functioning well. Because for as long as it is a government platform, you and I can send our cousins for jobs. We can talk about oil liftings. We can talk about allocations. It provides whoever is there with a lot of power of patronage, and is under-supervised, because those who are supervising him also draw some benefits. So it's a point. But whether the overall configuration of political economy of the country conduces to that is another matter. So in principle, yeah, Nasir has a point.